Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nerd X. My name is Raj and today I'm going to be talking about whether VR is going to catch on in gaming. So where are we at right now? Well, we have the Oculus Rift, it's out, people are buying it. In fact, according to Investor Business Daily, it's going to generate $895 million this year in handset sales. In comparison, the HTC Vive currently has 50,000 owners according to Upload VR, and that's obviously a lot less because, well, the HTC Vive is specific to Steam, specific to video games, whilst Oculus Rift is probably being used for other things like simulations, educational tools, and things like that. So there's clearly some success, obviously, quite a lot of success actually, that people are on board with this idea. And if you think about it, VR is probably the thing that will change gaming, I think, since 3D is probably the most significant change that we've ever seen. It requires a completely new kind of developer, a completely new kind of game to be created for it. And the problem is that right now there isn't really that killer app. There isn't really that thing that really demonstrates what VR is about. There's a lot of impressive tech demos. People are kind of exploring, they're experimenting with the systems and what they can actually do with it. But there isn't really anything that really grabs you by the scruff of your neck and says, wow, this is like the future. And I think we're all past that stage of awe and wonderment where 12-year-olds are using it going, "Mummy, I'm in space, look!" Yeah, that's great. That's great, Tommy. Yeah, that's great. Well, now we actually want to see what's actually possible. What can we actually do with it? And we need to then think about what are the sort of games that we need to make for this. And if you think about it, being able to develop a 2D game, you need to be knowledgeable in maths, you need to have a knowledge of computers and so on. Being able to make 3D games is much more complicated because you have things like lighting and a lot of other factors to consider. To be able to develop a VR game requires a really specific set of skills and a really specific kind of mindset. And that's especially true when you consider room scale, which is something that the Vive offers, which the Rift doesn't, where you basically set up a laser grid in your room, you put sensors at each corner, and basically once you put on your headset, you've essentially created this room which generates a world, rather than you staying in one place and putting on the headset and looking around. So this is a very new kind of experience that we've not really seen before, and there are certainly very good examples with the room scale to actually show what's possible. So for instance, there was the Space Pirate training game where it's like a sort of arcade shooter, and when you dodge out of the way, you actually do dodge out of the way, which is obviously very cool. It's very exciting to have that sort of interaction. So it gives a glimpse as to what sort of thing is possible. But there needs to be a much clearer mindset of what it is that people want to achieve with it. And the problem is that the Rift and the Vive have already engaged in this weird console war, as if people weren't already fed up of people arguing over PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and there's really no difference between them. And that's why they have to think about games being exclusive to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, because they realize that really the console, there's nothing different between them. So they want to sort of backstab the other company and encourage people to buy both consoles, which is just really anti-consumer. So the thing is that currently the way that people are using these headsets to play games is that they're using it to play existing games such as Elite Dangerous, Euro Truck Simulator. So there's a lot of these first-person simulator games, which shows that a lot of the games right now that are being made, it's quite easy to transfer them into VR. There isn't really too much oversight that's needed, but it does require a very specific kind of experience. And a lot of games that currently are out there and are working, a lot of RPGs and things, they aren't suited for this sort of VR headset. And so it requires a very specific kind of experience, and it does limit the scope somewhat of what people can do with it, but it does open up a lot of new opportunities that people haven't thought of yet. The thing is that the cost is extremely high. I mean, these headsets cost upwards of £600, and in order to actually be able to run it, you need a PC rig, which is going to cost you over £1,000. And of course, if the different headsets are competing in terms of exclusivity, then the whole thing is going to cost you a huge amount of money. And there are things such as the Samsung Galaxy VR, which actually does help to give you that sort of experience at a fairly affordable price. Admittedly, you need a Samsung Galaxy S7 in order to actually run it, which is obviously quite an expensive phone, but that's beside the point. You can have that sort of experience and you can see what it's about. But it will take a few years for us to actually see, is this something that will catch on? Is this something that people can really get on board with. And sure, there's a lot of sales in terms of hardware, but are there going to be developers who actually support it, who actually make the sort of content that people can really be engaged by? And that will then determine the long-term lasting effects of this. I mean, it has the potential certainly to be a very long-term thing that changes the way that we play games, but it will require a lot of work, it will require a lot of people to come in and actually innovate in a way. The thing is that both Oculus and HTC, they aren't actually video game making companies. You know, when Sony and Microsoft make these consoles, they also make games which then set the stage for third-party developers to take on. But then with these other companies, there isn't really that standard in place. They can't say, here's an example of what you can do and you can build on this. So there's no real kind of expectation that they have as to what it is that's possible. They sort of are thrown in at the deep end and said, do something with this. So we shall see how things go. I certainly think that it can be great, but we need to see exactly what sort of games come out in the next few years and whether there's anything that's actually really going to innovate. So that's my opinion. Have you actually tried any VR headset yourself, whether it be the Vive, whether it be the Oculus Rift, the PlayStation VR as well? Let us know in the comments. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be great. And I will see you in the next one.